Hello ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, and welcome to my Rebel Tantive ship here at Bleeped Productions. Yeah, we're just chilling in space because we have some fantastic content for you today. That's right, we're going to be bringing you some Imperial Assault. Now, this has been a piece of content in the works for almost 2 years, due to the fact of me painting models, getting friends to paint models, and then me finding the time to actually do this series. So what we're going to do is we're going to kick it off with the core campaign, and then we're going to go to all the other systems doing other campaigns. So without further ado, the first mission that we're going to get into in this campaign is called Aftermath. That's right, you've read the opening credits. A Imperial beacon has begun to broadcast a distress signal or some sort of information, and a small team of elite rebel operatives have gone out to see what it's all about and to shut down that transmission. Now, in this series, we're going to go back and forth with heroes. Normally, you're supposed to just have the heroes you're dealt with and you go through the whole entire campaign. I want to change it up a little bit. Some characters are going to be going in and out of the campaign, because if they've been taking damage throughout these missions, they're not going to be going straight onto another mission. It's kind of like XCOM in a way. I'm going to be replacing them with other characters in the Imperial Assault box set. But for this mission, we are going to be using Jin, Fen, Garken, and Dahlia. That's right, we're going to be running these 4 rebel operatives for the first mission. So with the mission Aftermath, what the rebel forces need to do is to destroy/disable 4 terminals on the location they're going to. But for the Imperial forces, what they need to do, they just need to wound the rebel forces. So obviously there's 4 rebel operatives and there's 4 terminals, and it's going to be played over 6 rounds, this scenario. So without further ado, let's get straight into the first mission of this Imperial Assault campaign. This is Aftermath. The rebel squad arrives at the outpost described at Rebel HQ. But a small force of Imperial troops are waiting. The rebels suspect they knew they were coming, and they're likely walking into an ambush. First to activate for the rebels this turn is Garken. He runs up into the middle of the Imperial forces.
Take out the Wookiee!
And he will target the probe droid. Garken will be rolling a red and yellow dice due to his vibro axe, and the probe droid will be rolling 1 black dice. And with this dice result, the probe droid will take 3 damage. Next to activate is the squad of stormtroopers.
Alright men, load your weapons.
They will move up to surround Garken for their first action. And then for their second action, they are going to be taking a shot at the Wookiee. They have an ability called Squad Training, allowing them to re-roll attack dice if they're in base-to-base with friendly adjacent troopers. The Stormtrooper will roll a green and blue dice, and Garken will be rolling a black dice. And with that roll, the Stormtrooper will do 1 damage to Garken. The second Stormtrooper rolls his attack, and with that roll, will spend the surge to do 1 damage to Garken. The final trooper will take aim, and with that roll, will do 3 damage to the Wookiee. Now, on Garken's character card, he has a built-in ability called Rage. After an attack targeting Garken is resolved and he suffers 3 damage or more, he can become focused. And focused allows him to roll a green dice on the next attack, or any other ability that he would like to use. Next to activate is Fen.
Let's lock and load!
He will spend 1 strain point to use Havoc Shot, which is when attacking with his infantry rifle, he gains Blast 1. And Blast 1 means that you will take 1 damage to each adjacent character from the model that is being targeted. So Fen will roll a blue and green dice thanks to his infantry rifle, and will target one of the Stormtroopers. The Stormtrooper rolls a black defense die for his defense. The trooper blocks all 3 damage, but Fen will use the 1 surge he rolled to add 1 damage to the trooper.
Can't take much more of this!
And this will trigger Havoc Shot, meaning everything adjacent to this trooper will take 1 damage. Even Garken will be taking 1 damage because of Havoc Shot. And that was Fen's first action. So Fen's second action will be to target the same trooper. And with that attack roll, Fen does 2 damage to that Stormtrooper, killing 1 of the 3 in the squad.
Yeah!
Next to activate for the Imperial forces is the probe droid. And the droid will, for its first action, attack Garken. The droid has a blue and 2 yellow dice for its attack, while Garken has a black defense die. And with that roll, you can see all of those surges. So the probe droid will do 3 damage to Garken, and he will repair 1 damage from itself with one of the surges, bringing his total attack to 2 damage taken instead of having 3. His second activation, the probe droid will then move away from his original location. Next to activate is Diala.
We shall face all the challenges the fates put before us.
She will move up the board close to the outpost, and then spend 1 strain to move 1 additional space. Then Diala will spend another 2 strain to use her ability Precise Strike, which allows her to remove 1 of the enemy's defense dice. And Diala rolls a green and yellow dice, and she will be targeting the Imperial officer.
Squash the scum!
And with that roll, she does 3 damage to the Imperial officer, meaning he will die. And also, because of all these surges, she will recover 2 of the strain for her endurance using those surges. Now, with the death of the Imperial officer, there is no more activations for the Imperial forces. So, next to activate is Jin.
If anyone tries to capture me, I'll incinerate their brain.
And she will follow Garken and Diala by moving up the forest, closer to the outpost's door. She will then target the terminal, as all terminals have a built-in 1 defense. Jin will take a shot, and she will be rolling 2 green dice, and thanks to her vintage blaster, she will be doing 2 damage to that terminal. So, after round 1, the rebel forces have moved up the forest closer to the outpost, doing some damage to 1 of the 4 terminals, injuring a few Imperial stormtroopers, a probe droid, and killing a few of the other Imperial forces too. So, with that being said, let's get straight into round 2. Round 2 begins, and the threat of the Imperial forces goes from 0 to 2. And we will begin round 2, with the Imperial forces not wanting to reinforce at this time. First to activate for the Rebel forces is Garken. And for his first activation, he will use his ability Charge, which will cost him 2 strain. And Charge allows Garken to move up a number of spaces of his speed, and then perform an attack with his Viro Axe. Garken will charge the terminal. With the terminal's built-in 1 defense, and Garken also being focused, allowing him to roll a green die with his attack, he does 4 damage to the terminal. He will use 1 surge to cleave 1, giving an adjacent model or object 1 damage. And this will be the probe droid, so the probe droid will take 1 damage here. Next to activate is the Stormtroopers.
Let's teach this one a lesson.
They will move again to shoot Garkin and try and wound the Wookiee once more. The first trooper rolls 2 surges, so we'll use the Stormtrooper's ability Squad Training, and he'll re-roll the blue dice. But still, no damage was inflicted to the Wookiee by this trooper.
You're dead now.
The second Stormtrooper shoots Garkin and does 3 damage and a surge. Garkin blocks 2, but the trooper will spend the surge to do another damage, giving Garkin another 2 damage to him. Next to activate will be Fen,
Beats the hell out of basic training.
and he will target one of the Stormtroopers, and again will spend 1 strain to use Havoc Shot, once again giving him Blast 1. So with this, Fen will target the Stormtrooper, and the Stormtrooper blocks 1 surge, but will take 2 damage from this dice roll, killing another Stormtrooper, and doing 1 damage to an adjacent trooper, leaving that trooper on 1 health. Fen will then spend 2 strain to move up 2 additional spaces, and then he will target the probe droid. He will shoot at the probe droid, and the probe droid blocks 1 damage, but Fen gets 1 damage and 1 surge, which, with his infantry blaster, turned that surge into 1 more damage, giving the probe droid 2 damage and destroying the probe droid.
Well, I'll be damned.
And with no friendly models adjacent to Fen, he can use his ability Lone Wolf, allowing him to recover 1 strain. With no Imperial forces left to activate, we can activate Jyn,
I'll show you how to fight.
and she will take a shot at the terminal once more. With a built-in 1 defense, Jyn attacks the terminal and does another 3 damage to the terminal, disabling it. And the rebels have destroyed 1 of the 4 terminals to complete their mission objective. For Jin's second action, she will then move up to the door, readying herself for whatever hides behind it.
If anyone tries to capture me, I'll incinerate their brain.
Diala activates next and will follow Jyn up to the door for her first action.
The sooner we end this conflict, the better it will be.
And then, for her second action, she will interact with the door, opening it up and seeing what is in the outpost. The outpost doors open.
It's them.
The Imperial forces shout as they scramble to their defenses,
Mow them down.
yells an Imperial officer. Imperial forces on approach, communicates the rebel pilot. I'm circling overhead, and it seems the place is going to be crawling with Imperial forces soon, so get the job done quick. As the doors open, an E-Web engineer is placed in front of the door and is also focused.
Surrender at once.
A squad of stormtroopers is also placed in the outpost,
All right, men. Target sighted.
and also an Imperial officer.
I want those rebels dead.
Next to activate is the E-Web engineer,
Focus all firepower.
and will target Jyn. Due to being focused, the E-Web will be rolling a lot of dice here, and Jyn will be rolling a white dice for her defense. And after that roll, as you can see, Jyn wasn't expecting the E-Web to be there, and he will spend 1 surge to do another additional point of damage, taking it to 7. As there are no more rebel activations, next to activate is the squad of stormtroopers.
Let's take this guy.
And for both of the squad's actions this turn, they will get into defensive positions in the outposts. They will be blocking the entrance and making it difficult for the rebel squad to enter the outpost. The last to activate this turn for the Imperial forces is the Imperial officer.
After the spy!
He will follow the stormtroopers' lead through the outpost and position himself ready to give orders next turn. And with round 2 coming to an end, the rebel forces have entered the outpost and encountered heavy resistance. They've disabled 1 of the 4 terminals, but 2 of the rebel squad are heavily damaged, swinging the game into the Imperial forces' favor. At the beginning of round 3, the Imperial forces' threat goes up by 2, taking it to 4. And with this, the Imperial forces will spend 2 of that threat to reinforce the wounded Stormtrooper squad, bringing back 1 of the defeated troopers outside of the outpost.
Surrender at once.
With reinforcements done, first to activate for the rebels this turn is Jyn.
There's an awful lot of you, isn't there?
She will move through the Imperial forces for her first action. And for her second action, she will target the terminal. And with the roll of her blaster, she spends one surge to do 1 damage. So the terminal this time will take 3 damage in total from Jin's shooting.
Strangely satisfying.
Next to activate is the wounded Stormtrooper squad.
You there, get down on the ground, now!
And they will move into base to base with each other to shoot at the rebel forces. The first will target Garken, and with that attack roll, the Stormtrooper will use their ability of squad tactics to re-roll the blue dice, and with that will turn that 1 surge into 1 damage, giving Garken 2 more damage, leaving him on 1 health. And following that, the other trooper will target Garken, and with that roll, Garken blocks 1 surge, and the Stormtrooper will do 2 more damage to the Wookiee, making him focused due to his ability of rage, but he becomes wounded, taking the Imperial forces closer to winning the scenario. Garken now has no longer got rage as a built-in ability, and his speed and endurance has gone down by 1. Diala activates next,
I sense a tremor in the force.
and she will move through the Imperial squad and spend 1 strain to move 1 additional space. And then she will attack the E-Web with her second action. Diala attacks and does no damage, but will spend 1 focus on making the E-Web engineer stunned, and will spend 1 surge to remove 1 strain from her endurance. The E-Web becomes stunned, meaning for one of the E-Web's actions, it will have to remove this condition. Next to activate is the new squad of Stormtroopers,
Stop right there!
and they will turn and shoot at Jin to begin. But Jin will interrupt, spending 2 strain to use her ability Quick Draw. Now this ability allows Jin to interrupt an enemy's activation with a pistol targeting that figure. So Jin turns around to take a shot at that Stormtrooper.
I'll show you how to fight.
So with that attack, she won't do any damage to the trooper, so she'll spend 2 of the surges to recover 2 strain from herself. So continuing with the Stormtrooper's attacks, the first trooper rolls and does 2 damage to Jin, leaving her on 1 health. The second Stormtrooper will shoot at Jin, and with that roll, does exactly 1 damage to Jin, which will make her wounded, making the Imperial forces halfway to their victory conditions in this scenario. Jin's abilities here get dulled down like Garken's. She loses the ability of Opportunist, and her speed and endurance go down by 1 also. With Jin being wounded, the final Stormtrooper targets Diala instead. Diala will roll a white dice for her defense, and with that shot, the Stormtrooper will spend 1 surge to do 1 damage to the exiled Jedi. They will then, for their second action, move around the outpost to reposition for another assault next turn.
It's easy when they're stupid.
Next to activate is Garken, and he will run up for his first action. He will then spend 1 strain to move 1 additional space. And with his second action, he will spend his final 2 strain to use charge once more. He will be charging another terminal as he is focused. And with this attack, Garken will only do 1 damage to the terminal and recover 2 strain with those 2 surge results that he got from that roll. Next to activate is the E-Web,
You there, disarm yourself.
and he will spend 1 of his actions to remove the stunned condition off himself. And he will then shoot Diala point blank for his second action. Diala gets a white dice for her defense, and with that roll, the E-Web engineer will be doing 3 damage to the exiled Jedi. Next to activate is Fen,
Let's lock and load!
and he will target the non-damaged Stormtrooper, and he will spend 1 strain to use Havoc Shot, once again giving him Blast 1. And on Fen's roll, he will only be getting 1 surge from this roll, So with his infantry rifle, he will be using it to do 1 damage to the targeted trooper. And because he's done damage, Blast 1 will trigger. And it will kill the other trooper. For his second action, he will move up the forest to end his activation on top of the crate. And because no one again is next to him, he will use the ability Lone Wolf to recover 1 strain. Last to activate this turn is the Imperial Officer.
What is that thing?
And he will shoot at Diala, who is in front of him. With this attack, Diala rolled a dodge, meaning she will take no damage this turn by this attack. But the Imperial Officer will spend 1 surge to become focus, giving him a green die next turn. And then for his second action, he will move away from the front line to defend one of the terminals in the outpost. And that is the end of round 3. And the game is incredibly close between the Imperial forces and the Rebel forces. The Imperial forces have wounded 2 of the Rebel characters, and the Rebel forces have disabled 1 of the terminals and done quite a bit of damage to another. So the battle will continue, and this will lead into round 4. At the beginning of round 4, the Imperial forces threat increases by 2, going back up to 4 threat overall. And before the round begins, the Imperial forces will reinforce the damaged Stormtrooper squad once more by spending 2 of the threat. First to activate this turn is Garkin. And his first action is to turn and attack the terminal. And with that attack, Garkin will do 1 damage to that terminal. And then will use 1 surge to cleave 1 damage onto the adjacent Stormtrooper next to him. Garkin will then spend 1 strain to move 1 space away from the terminal. And now this. That's right, we make mistakes so you don't have to. This is the only mistake we made in this campaign video, and we miscalculated Garkin's endurance. Due to the fact that we forgot that he was wounded and he goes down by 1, we assumed that he was still at 4, so we are at fault with what happens next. So we apologize on that front, but like we say on this channel, we make mistakes so you don't have to, so unfortunately we'll get straight back to the battle report. After moving that 1 space, Garkin will spend a final 2 strain, which he can't because we've stated otherwise, to do his special ability of charge. So he will spend this 2 strain and he will charge the terminal near the Imperial Officer. With the built-in 1 defense, Garkin attacks the terminal and ends up doing 3 damage to it. Next to activate is the E-Web Engineer, and he has an ability called Assault, allowing him to shoot multiple times during its activation. And for his first action, he will shoot at the exiled Jedi Diala. The E-Web's first attack, however, is dodged by Diala's defense dice, so she will be taking no damage. So the E-Web's second attack action will be at Diala again, and so far it is doing 4 damage to Diala. So she will spend 1 strain to use her Foresight ability. This allows her to re-roll her defense dice result. But she gets the same result, so Diala will be taking 4 damage from the E-Web Engineer. Next to activate is Diala.
If you seek combat, you will have it.
And she will attack the E-Web Engineer for her first action. And with her attack roll, she does no damage to the E-Web Engineer, but she has some surge results, so she'll spend 1 of them to remove 1 strain from herself. Her second action will be to attack the terminal next to her. Thanks to her plasteel staff, she has reach. So with the built-in 1, she attacks the terminal, and she will spend 1 surge to do 1 damage to that thanks to her staff, taking her total to 2 damage, meaning the terminal is disabled. And the rebels have disabled 2 of the 4 terminals so far, getting halfway through their mission objective. Next to activate is the second Stormtrooper unit, and they will move around the outpost complex. But Jin will spend 2 strain to do her quick draw ability on the closest Stormtrooper before he gets the ability to walk. She rolls her attack and it succeeds. The Stormtrooper blocks 1 damage, but her Vintage Blaster will turn 1 surge into 1 damage, and the other surge to recover 1 strain from her. So the Stormtrooper will be taking 2 damage, exactly killing him.
Another clean kill. Strangely satisfying.
The other 2 Stormtroopers will continue their movement and form a firing line in the complex. And for their second action, they will shoot at Diala.
All right, men, load your weapons.
The first shot by the Stormtrooper is dodged by the Jedi due to her white dice result. And the final trooper's shot is also dodged by the exiled Jedi, and she will be taking no damage. Next to activate is Jin.
Goodbye.
And for her first action, she will run past the Stormtroopers to get deeper into the outpost. For her second action, she will target the terminal damaged earlier by Garkin. With the built-in 1 defense and her attack on the terminal, she will spend 1 surge to turn that 1 surge into 1 damage, taking its total damage count to 5. Next to activate is the Wounded Stormtrooper unit.
You there, get down on the ground, now!
And they will, for their first action, move towards the complex to make it hard for Fen to enter the outpost. Their second action is to shoot at the hardened rebel veteran. The first trooper will attack, and Fen will roll a black dice for his defense. And with that roll, the trooper will re-roll the blue dice due to the Stormtrooper's ability of squad tactics. And with that result, we'll turn that 1 surge to 1 damage, and Fen will take 2 damage from the first trooper. The second trooper will shoot at Fen, and with that dice result, will also turn 1 surge into damage, giving Fen another 2 more damage taken from this Stormtrooper unit. Fen activates next.
Let's lock and load.
And for his first action, he will interact with the crate.
Let's see what you've got.
And he'll receive a Bacta infusion, which is a medical item allowing the holder to discard it during his or her turn to heal himself or an adjacent figure 3 damage. For his second activation, he will move up into the complex and spend 1 strain to move up the board. And before it's the end of Fen's turn, he will use the Bacta infusion to heal himself 3. And with no friendly characters adjacent to him, he will trigger his Lone Wolf ability to recover 1 strain from himself. Last to activate is the Imperial Officer.
Take out the Wookiee.
And he will take aim at Garkin as he is focused. And with that attack roll, Garkin blocks 1 surge roll, and the Imperial Officer will spend 1 remaining surge to become focused once more. And Garkin will take 3 damage from this attack. Then for the second action, the officer will move around the complex to the other terminal to defend it next turn. This will bring us to the end of round 4, and the scenario could go either way at the moment. The Imperial forces have wounded 2 of the Rebel squad, and the Rebels have destroyed 2 of the terminals. So with that, let's get straight into round 5. Round 5, the Imperial forces threat goes up from 2 to 4 once more, and chooses not to reinforce this round. First to activate this round is Fen,
Beats the hell out of basic training.
and he will shoot at the E-Web. And with his shot at the E-Web, he turns 1 of the surges into 1 damage, and will do 2 damage to the E-Web engineer. Fen decides to shoot once more at the E-Web engineer, and with his second attack will do 2 more damage as the engineer blocks 1 damage, leaving the E-Web engineer on 1 health. And at the end of the turn, due to Fen having no friendly models near him, he can recover 1 strain thanks to his Lone Wolf ability. Next to activate is the E-Web engineer.
Let's teach this one a lesson.
And he will target Diala, and with the first attack, the E-Web has multiple surges and will turn 1 surge into 1 damage, taking Diala's total damage taken to 2, and spend 1 surge to recover 2 damage, taking the E-Web's health from 4 damage taken to 2 damage taken. So Diala will be taking 2 damage with this first attack. The E-Web will target Diala once again because he has the ability Assault, allowing him to shoot twice on its activation. And with his second attack roll, it is doing enough to wound Diala. So she will spend 1 strain to use her ability Foresight, allowing her to re-roll her defense dice. The result is a blank, so Diala will take 5 damage and the E-Web will spend 1 surge to recover 2, which will take it back to full health. But with this attack, the E-Web has wounded the Jedi. And with that, she will lose Precision Strike as her ability, and her speed and endurance will go down by 1. And the Imperial forces wound another character and are 1 character away from winning the scenario. Next to activate is Jin.
If anyone tries to capture me, I'll incinerate their brain.
She will take aim and shoot at the damaged terminal. And with her attack roll, she does 3 damage to the terminal, and with that, disabling it, giving the rebels a total of 3 out of 4 terminals disabled. Jin's second action is to shoot one of the stormtroopers located behind her. And with her attack roll, the stormtrooper blocks 1 damage, but Jin does 3 damage to the stormtrooper, killing him.
That shut him up.
Next to activate is the Imperial officer,
For the Empire!
and he'll walk up the complex to take aim at Fen. As he is focused, he rolls an additional green die, and with this shot, the attack isn't bad as Fen defends for 2 of the damage, but the officer will turn one of those surges into damage, giving Fen a total of 2 damage taken by his blaster. Next to activate is Diala,
The sooner we end this conflict, the better it will be.
and she is going to spend 1 strain to move within reach of a stormtrooper with her plasteel staff, and will attack the trooper for her first action. And with this attack, she has a few surges to spend, so she will spend 1 of them to make the stormtrooper stunned, 1 of the surges to do 1 damage, doing 1 damage and making the stormtrooper stunned. Diala will attack the same trooper for her second action, and with her attack, she gets a few more surges to spend, so the trooper will block 2 damage of her attack. So she'll spend 1 surge to do another point of damage to the trooper, and another surge to make him stunned, and will make him stunned once more. Next to activate is the first squad of stormtroopers.
Alright, men, load your weapons.
And the trooper that was stunned twice by Diala will remove both of his conditions, ending his activation. And the other will take aim at Fen. And his first attack will do 2 damage to Fen, as Fen only blocks 1 of the damage. And the remaining trooper will move base to base with Fen for his second action. Next to activate is Garkin, and he will walk up to the other terminal for his first action, and for his second action he will attack the terminal. With Garkin's attack roll, he will spend 1 of the surges to have Pierce 1, guaranteeing 2 damage will be done to this terminal this turn, and he will spend another surge to recover 1 strain from the Wookiee. Last to activate is the lone trooper from the outpost squad.
You there, get down on the ground, now!
He will move through the complex, and for his second action will be to shoot at Fen. The stormtrooper shoots, and his attack will do some damage, but due to being adjacent to another friendly trooper, he will use squad tactics to re-roll 1 of his dice, and does a little bit better as Fen will now take 2 damage from the stormtrooper. And with that last attack, round 5 is complete, and it will come down to the final round of the scenario. What will the conclusion be? Will the rebels destroy the final terminal, or will Fen be wounded by the Imperial forces? Let's find out in round 6. Round 6 begins, and the Imperial forces threat goes up by 2, taking it from 4 to 6. And the Imperial forces will reinforce the wounded stormtrooper squad from the beginning, to have a full squad returning to the battlefield. First to activate is Garkin. And this might be it. He has to disable this terminal, or the E-Web engineer is most likely going to wound Fen and give the Imperials a win. So, With the first attack on the terminal, it does a lot of damage, and Garkan will use the surge to use his attack Pierce 1, doing 3 damage to the terminal this turn. So, it comes down to the final attack, and Garkan will attack the terminal again for his second action, and gets the same result, doing another 3 damage due to spending 1 surge to give himself Pierce 1, meaning Garkan wails on the terminal, disabling it, and the rebels completing their mission. There's a crackle from the comms link. Their plans are disrupted. The remaining Imperial forces seem to be falling back in a hasty retreat. The rebels run out of the outpost to their transport. Nice work, says the pilot as he looks back as the rebel troops pile into the transport as they jet off the planet. And that was Aftermath, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and that was some Imperial Assault content here, and finally here, on Bleeped Up Productions. If you've enjoyed it, please leave a like. A like is much appreciated. I know I made one mistake in this campaign video. Yeah, I know. We make mistakes so you don't have to. Just remember that, guys. But yeah, hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. With that Rebel win, though, they've got a few upgrades and some credits to spend, so they're going to spend them wisely. But they're not going straight into the next campaign mission. What's happening is they are going to be going on a side mission, and I can only tell you the name of the side mission, and that is called the Spice Job. And the rebel operatives are going to be working alongside a very, very popular Star Wars character, just to give you guys a hint. So guys, if you've enjoyed it, please leave a like. A like is much appreciated. If you want to see more, please smash that like. This has been 2 years in the making. I've enjoyed doing this episode. So without further ado, take care, have a good one, and we'll see you for episode 2 of this Imperial Assault campaign called The Spice Job.